computer. Hi, welcome to the Backstage with the Baronsmen, a deep dive into the inner workings of a historical theater company in Austin, Texas. Today's guests are Lindsay Palinsky and Jared Walls, director and assistant director of our spring show, The Tempest by William Shakespeare. So, first of all, Lindsay, how long have you been with the Baronsmen?
I have been...
Sorry.
No, I forgot it was a two-part question. I'll listen.
It's okay. How long have you been with the Baronsmen, and what keeps you wanting to work with Baronsmen?
So I've been with the Baronsmen for about 10 years now. I moved to Texas in the fall of 2010, and I found the Baronsmen not long after I moved. My first show was 12th Night, which was in April of 2011, but that was back in the day when we had like 5-month rehearsal processes. So technically, I joined the Baronsmen in like November of 2010. What originally attracted me to the Baronsmen at the outset, and what keeps me coming back for more year after year, is the family element. I hear my theater nephew Finn in the background, but is the community. We are all friends, and I think that's really important. That's what the type of theater I did back in Michigan, was a group of friends that loved making art together. And then also the historical element. The Shakespeare that I had done in my early to mid 20s was all let's put Shakespeare in a different time. And so I had never done historically accurate Shakespeare, and it was something that really appealed to me, to get to learn that element of things, and to see like, okay, what are things that I had done in modern Shakespeare that were related to historical Shakespeare, and just always the opportunity to learn new things, I think, is one of the main things that the Baronsmen gives me that I love.
Jared, same question to you.
Let's see, I started working with the Baronsmen, what was that, like 9 years ago? Henry V, I believe. I think that was 9. What keeps me coming back? I'm going to just echo what Lindsay said. I mean, there's an extreme family element to this troupe, and I love it, and I can't see doing work anywhere else right now, so I love it. And yes, Finn is in the background. He has a lot of commentary on what's going on right now.
It's okay. It's the next generation of the Baronsmen. It's cool.
It is.
So to that, your experience directing, I know, Lindsay, this is your second time directing with the Baronsmen, but overall, how much directing experience do you have? And then the second part of that question is, why are you, what are you looking forward to directing again? And what are you wanting to do differently than you did the first time around?
Oh boy, loaded questions. Okay, so yes, this is my second full production directing for the Baronsmen. I directed Lysistrata 6 summers ago. It was the Baronsmen's first summer show, and we did 1 year after that, and then never again, because it was mean, it was torturous. It was also the Baronsmen's first non-Elizabethan, that kind of time period show, or first Greek show. So my previous directing experience, back in Michigan, I had assistant directed a number of Shakespeare plays, as well as a couple of musicals with a couple of troupes in Lansing. I had started a Shakespeare organization in Lansing about a year and a half before I moved. Actually, I directed a full-length production of The Winter's Tale, as well as one of All's Well That Ends Well, as well as All That, yeah. And then I edited the script that organization did. They did Othello the summer that I was moving here, so I didn't get to participate in that other than editing that script, which is incidentally one of my favorite things about directing Shakespeare, is just taking, this is gonna make some people scream, just taking a pair of scissors to it and slashing it, because gotta keep people interested, gotta keep them on their toes. And then what made me want to direct again? The Tempest has always been a show that's been really near and dear to my heart. It wasn't the first Shakespeare that I read, but it was an early Shakespeare, and just the magical element was really interesting to me, to in the Shakespeare that I had been doing in my previous life, to work with, like, to think about how to use stagecraft of the modern times to create that. And something that's really interesting to me about directing it for the Baron's Men is to look at the types of stagecraft that were used in Elizabethan times and how we can adapt those to create magic. I'm going to be doing a lot with movement. So Ariel in particular is going to have magical appendages, which are going to be other humans. If you saw Lee's and Victoria's production of Dr. Faustus a few years ago, they used demons sort of to that effect. My sprites will be that as well, only they will be physically attached to Ariel in some way. And so you'll have to come see the show to know how that's going to be accomplished.
Quick question, Lindsay.
Yeah.
On, so with Lysistrata, in case some people have maybe never been to the curtain, or why was it a challenge, a little more of a challenge? If you want to inform people of why it is a challenge to do a show at what? It was in July? Was that when it went up?
Oh yeah, because this is Austin, Texas, and July in Austin, Texas is always 100 degrees, and we were right on the shores of Lake Austin, so it's also a bajillion% humidity, and so, you know, just putting in the physical labor of acting. And I do not allow my actors to stand and deliver. I choreographed, I wish I had the notebook next to me. I choreographed every scene of that show as if it were a dance. And like the actors had like maps that they had to follow. And that, I will say that'll be something that might be a little bit different for the Tempest, is I have grown as a director, and you know, working with the Baron's Men, both in production and as an actor, we are capable of absolutely anything and everything that you can throw at us. But I think I kind of overwhelmed my cast a little bit when I just handed them a stack of maps of the stage, and it was like, learn this. So that's something I've learned as a director out at the curtain. And then also, we do our very best when we're in a rehearsal space to mark off where on the stage everything is and the dimensions, but it really is not the same. Anyone who makes theater in two different spaces knows there's just no comparing it to being on stage and figuring out your sight lines and everything like that. You think you remember, but you don't. So maybe not being as strict with my blocking in the early stages of rehearsal, but don't worry, there will still be plenty of blocking.
Well, and that's kind of an issue with a lot of Austin theaters, is that a lot of theater companies don't have a permanent space. So same sort of thing. You may be rehearsing in someone's house, and then, you know, an actual, like the Doherty Arts Center, and then going and performing somewhere. So it's kind of the same with the Baron's Men. But I think they've always done amazing with that, adapting once they get moved into the curtain.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we're always really aware that we are performing in a very unique space, even for Austin. We have a 3/4 thrust, so the audience is on three sides of us in a U shape. And so we're always, all of our directors and actors are always really aware of that, but it is something that you have to constantly remind if you're in someone's living room, for example.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually move to Jared. Dun, dun, dun. So why did you, and Lindsay chime in as well, why did you want to assistant direct, or what got this whole partnership going? And then the big question to follow that, the two-part question is, are you going to direct a show by yourself in the future, or take, you know?
Okay, so what got the ball rolling on this partnership? Lindsay and I have worked closely since I joined the Baron's Men 9 years ago. We've, you know, became good friends during Henry V. And
Team Pretty!
Team Pretty, you got it. That was the French court. We were Team Pretty. And, you know, we've worked closely on every show that we've both been involved in. And, you know, behind the scenes when things, you know, maybe we weren't in shows, you know, now we're both on the board and get to have fun on that level of the Baron's Men. It is a different, it's a different time, but it is still fun. We do still have fun with it. So what got the ball rolling? The assistant directing for Lindsay. She basically just came to me one day and was like, hey, you want to assistant direct the Tempest? And I was like, you know what, that does sound like fun. She told me her vision, and I was like, I would definitely love to be involved with this show. On side of it, like kind of, I haven't directed in many years, you know, back high school, college, I directed, and I haven't touched it since then, but looking forward to getting back to it.
What did you direct? Did you direct like modern and Shakespeare, or did it like kind of?
Yeah, modern and Shakespeare.
Okay, cool.
The first thing I directed was actually Wasp by Steve Martin. Absurdist show, very fun. A lot of fun. Got into some trouble in high school because I took some liberties with how far I would press some high school students. But we don't need to get into that. This is supposed to be family friendly, right?
Oh.
So do I have interest in directing fully a show? Yes, I do, but I'm keeping that under wraps right now because a few different ideas. So.
True. I mean, and I think that's the other thing too, is that with the directors and ADs, you have to have such a good partnership because you kind of call each other on your stuff, but you keep each other going. And so I think that's super important as a director when you choose your AD and vice versa. And I think it seems like you guys have an amazing relationship with that already. So that's going to be super important and it's going to be fun. So yeah.
I'm super lucky. My assistant director for Lysistrata was Mike Osborne. And we were both inducted in a Sharers at the same time. So we're Sharer siblings. And it's really important for me to have an assistant director who will say, Lindsay, you're being ridiculous. And Jared and Oz are two people that I really respect their opinions. And when they know that they are like, hey, this is the line. And I really respect their thoughts on that. And it's super important.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let me move on to kind of the next little question. Well, they're not all little, they're in depth, but okay. And you kind of answered some of it already, but like, why the Tempest? What about this show attracted you to the show? You'd mentioned it was kind of in the beginnings, that sort of thing, but what really was like, I'm going to do the Tempest?
I think, as I said before, it was, excuse me, one of my early experiences with Shakespeare. So it's always lived, there's my heart right there. It's pretty, I want the challenge of the historical, magical elements of it. And also I think that the story it tells, even though we present things in a historical manner, is still really important to modern audiences. This show, everyone's like, oh, it's about revenge, and oh, it's about magic, and oh, it's not. I mean, it is, but It's about love and it's about redemption. And it's about bridging gaps between people. And my God, we need that. And, you know, it's new love between Ferdinand and Miranda. It is finding new pathways in relationships for Prospero. It is, you know, looking at oppression, how Caliban and his mother, who isn't in the show but is talked about in the show, Sycorax, have been oppressed by humankind, and Ariel as well. I mean, Ariel is a slave, or if we want to put it in terms that we might know from Disney, Ariel is the genie, and he gets freed once he grants the 3 wishes. And so what these relationships between people look like is really important for us to examine. One of the, hey, anyone who auditions for this show, one of the early exercises we are going to do is we're going to talk about what all of the Tempests are in the Tempest, because every human relationship, or in this case, human and magical being relationship, can be tempestuous. And it's not just the storm at the beginning. Like, we're going to go metaphorical with actor work. And so to really look at, you know, humanity in each of these characters.
Awesome. So I have a quick question. Like, so you've kind of talked a little bit kind of about, that's kind of getting into your vision and that sort of thing. Is there anything, what can you briefly touch on about like costuming? Is music going to be in it? All that sort of stuff?
All of the above.
Don't give away, but yeah.
Well, I mean, so right now there's not much to give away because my costumer is, with the beautiful red hair, is sitting right there. And we have not yet had a production meeting because our show got postponed twice.
Right.
No, just once.
Just once.
So we haven't really touched on that, but part of my bid when I submitted the show to direct, and Jared and I talked, is kind of costuming from the humors that govern each of the characters. The humors are a very Elizabethan concept of phlegm, bile, blood, and the fourth one.
I know, I'm trying to remember.
I don't have my notes in front of me. And each of those humors has a range of colors associated with it. And so kind of looking at what we have in stock, because the Baronsman has a plentiful stock of costumes, I'd like to not have to build a ton of new things and see where we can incorporate elements of those colors to really personalize that. I did that when I directed The Winter's Tale. Each character was colored based on what chakra represented their, so it's kind of a with me. So, and then with music, there are songs in The Tempest. Ariel sings 3 songs, and then Trinculo and Stefano have a drinking song that they sing, and Caliban, I believe, joins in on that. There is extant music for 2 of Ariel's 3 songs. So I have that. My boyfriend is a music engineer, and he is a man of jazz music and composition, and so he is researching Elizabethan. Yeah,
we're having a little bit of technical difficulty on your end, where you're like phasing out, and you've had sync issues, but it's cool.
Do you want me to see if I can switch wireless networks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. It could be because I'm I'm on the upstairs network right now, but I'm downstairs.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
One moment, please.
Well, Jared, while while she's doing her technical settings and stuff like that, can you talk a little bit more of what you're looking forward to as the assistant director? Because not a lot of people have assistant directors, and so maybe go into what it is that you want to take out from your experience, or what you're hoping to learn.
Let's see. What I'm hoping to learn. Just a little bit more about, I've been involved in several productions, but just on the directing side of it, on the production side, a little bit more of that. One thing I'd like to more focus on, if I can, take it off Lindsay's plate just a little bit, is work a little bit more one-on-one with people on character development, do some script work, do, as she said, she definitely handles blocking in a way that I'm going to let that run, because I'm not going to get in the middle of that one.
You can't stop it.
But when it comes to actually kind of just working one-on-one with actors and kind of, getting to the heart of that character and figuring things out, that's kind of where I want to step in and be a little more involved on that level.
It sounds like character development is very important to this particular production, more so than it seems like in a lot of the others. Is that a true statement?
I think relationship development is what's key.
Okay.
Yeah. Character development is always important.
Yeah.
But
I think so. I like to think it's a huge part of things. I don't know. It's just me.
Well, it definitely is a thing that makes it more like a more attractive, more juicy thing to do for the actors themselves, is when you push them, having acted under both Lindsay and Jackie in productions and stuff like that. It's been really, it was kind of eye-opening. Jackie got me to places that I didn't know I could go. And same thing with Lindsay, is she kept pushing that boundary with me. So I think doing that for the actor actually helps them become a better actor. And I appreciate that you guys are going to work that into your system.
Well, and it's trust too. I think that's the hardest thing, because we're all actors as well on this call. You have to really put trust in your director and your AD to be able to kind of dig deep in certain areas. Because to me, that's a lot of acting, is you grow as a person, but also as an artist. And otherwise, I'm like, why am I doing it? So I think that's to me, those two things, the blocking. I love to see plays that someone has visually invested in it, and the tableaus and things like that, and then also the characters are supported and the relationships. It just makes for a beautiful experience. So
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm very thankful that Jared is willing to put in that work, because I think it's so important, and I think I know I couldn't do it all alone. So
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. Can't wait. I like to have fun with that.
No, that's awesome. So quick question on, so we, few of us have already seen the Stratford Festival's Tempest, and they had Martha Henry playing Prospero. What are y'all's takes on cross-gender casting, particularly roles that are usually portrayed by men? You know, it was kind of unique in that she was a woman, and they didn't change Prospero, you know, like to have her be a woman playing a man. All right, what are your guys' feelings on that? Because I know sometimes that's a challenge with not only Barron's Men, but other theaters. You maybe have more women, if you maybe have more men, who knows? So what are y'all's thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that concept overall are different than my thoughts for what I would like to do with the Tempest. I think that anyone can play any role if they want it bad enough and they work hard enough at it. However, it is very important to me that Miranda be surrounded by men.
Gotcha.
So Prospero, Ariel, and Caliban and Ferdinand will be played by men or male presenting identify. They are male roles.
Gotcha.
And as much as I want to sit here with my big heart and knowing all of the talented women that we have in our organization and the opportunities that I've been given to both play roles that were written male, that were switched to be a girl for me, and then also me playing a man. And thank you. I got to, play the porter in Macbeth as a dude. I looked a lot like Jared. We looked like siblings after I put my beard on. But it's really important to me that those 4 roles in particular are men played by men, because that is part of Miranda's inner storm. But the other parts, I'm super open to. I'll change a gender, or if a girl auditions and she wants to say, no, I want to wear a codpiece and play that as a man, great, that's fine. That is an open conversation that I'm willing to have with the actors and Jared to see, and Liegh for costuming, to see where we can go from there. But those 5 characters, the 4 men, and then Miranda, all have to be who they are when Shakespeare wrote them.
Okay. No, that's great.
I think is that there's going to be cod pieces.
Well, we haven't talked about that. It's a recognizable example. I would say put on some pants, which is also fine, but there is historical evidence that women wore pants. So,
Yes.
Right. That's awesome. So. What about anything, if you were gonna, because I know some directors get into it, some don't, is there any sort of experience or takeaway of your vision that you want people, once they see your show, to maybe be inspired by, or anything like that? Sometimes it's everybody's interpretation of a show is different. So
what do you want your audiences to hopefully get out of your show?
Yeah, I personally would like the audiences to overall get out of the show that historical theater is accessible. That is one of the main missions and viewpoints of the Barron's Men, and I support that wholeheartedly. You don't have to put Romeo and Juliet in jeans for people to be able to understand that language. So I want the audience to take that away as a representative of the Barron's Men. For my show in particular, going back to the work that Jared is going to do with character development and relationship building, I want people to walk away being able to identify with the journey of one or multiple of the characters in this show, because these are stories that we all have within us. These are tempests that we have fought within ourselves.
That's awesome. Well, and that's exactly what you want. You want people to relate to the work and then be inspired or moved by it. And that's, Tempest is such a great show. I'm excited.
Okay. So now we get to the super fun part of it, which is going to be more of the shotgun type answers and everything. Not going to be too hard. But first of all, what is your favorite Shakespeare play besides The Tempest that you would like to see the Berensmen do?
Jared should go first for all of these because I've talked a lot.
You're
muted.
babe.
Oh, I know. I was on purpose. That was purpose. That I'd like to see the Berensmen do. I'm just gonna throw it out. I would love to see Hamlet.
Nice.
The big one.
Nice.
It's scary, but I'd love to. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Macbeth was kind of scary, and we tackled that one.
I mean,
And
technically,
so-
that's my favorite Shakespeare show, but we just did it, so I can't really say I'd love to see us do it again.
I mean, no, totally saying you want to see us do it again. In a couple
Any
of
day.
years.
Any day.
Yes. Macbeth is my favorite Shakespeare show, and we just did it last year. But sure, let's do it again tomorrow. It's fine. But a show that I'd really like to see the Berensmen tackle would be Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Nice. That is not one that's commonly done.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
I think
the
that's
next question.
Both of you. What's your favorite non-Shakespeare play? I know.
It's not supposed to be a stumper.
Wait, is there
Okay.
one?
No, I just don't remember the name of it. I have to look it up.
Jared?
I haven't thought about it in a while, but I'm going to go with The Bald Soprano by Ionesco.
Oh, nice choice.
Heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm a bad actor.
It's a very crazy, absurdist show. It's so much fun.
My favorite non-Shakespeare show, I mean, let's face it, it's Phantom of the Opera.
Mhm.
But I personally have like a special place for Rent. Jackie, what's yours?
Yeah.
I guess probably Cat on a Hot Tin Roof or Streetcar. I
Ooh,
love that,
Blanche.
those relationships. Yeah. So
Did you find it, Miss Nancy?
So well, okay. I didn't know that musicals were fair game. We might lose some fans because of this, but my very favorite show ever, forever and ever, amen, is Cats. I've seen it 6 times, twice on Broadway. I love it so much. The play that I was looking for is, I think it's called Eurydice. It's a modern show about Orpheus and Eurydice by the lady who wrote like The Clean House or something. It's by a woman playwright, and I wish I could find it, but I still can't. But I really like that show. I read it in college, and I just one day I'll direct it. And then I also like I would like to do the Oedipus series cycle of plays in rep with the same cast.
Nice. I'm so on board with that. It's one of my favorites. Next question. Both of you are actors on stage as well. What are your top 2 bucket roles that you would like to play at some point with the Berensmen or otherwise? It doesn't matter, but just these are your 2 favorites that you want to play.
Well, I've already gotten to play a couple of my bucket roles thanks to the Berensmen. I've actually been incredibly fortunate that I've played many of Shakespeare's great ladies between the Berensmen and my work back in Michigan. I have not yet played Gertrude or Desdemona or Ophelia, but I've gotten to play Juliet and Beatrice with the Berensmen, and then I played Lady Macbeth back in Michigan. I've also gotten to play Puck, which was one of my favorites to do. But I just want to be in Cats, guys. I don't sing. I just want to be like a background cat.
You'd be a great background cat.
I just would love to see us 2 cats at the curtain.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like I am not a Broadway mutant dancer either. I grew up, I'm a dancer and I'm a dance teacher and I work at a dance studio and all of that, but I was never good enough to even be a background dancer in Cats. But I would just, can I just like put me in a unitard and I'll sit there and do this for 2 hours?
Jared, what are your bucket rolls?
Let's see.
Jackie, I'm going to ask you too.
Okay.
Bucket rolls. Okay, I'm gonna go with, just because it's a challenge, Hamlet, Macbeth, and yeah, I'm gonna go with those two for right now. I'm like going through all the shows. I'm like, God, there's so many I'd love to do, but those two would be probably top two, I guess.
Okay. Jackie?
Probably like Shakespeare, because I really haven't done a lot of Shakespeare, honestly. I've never done any big leads in Shakespeare either. So I guess Gertrude, obviously. We're looking at age too. I'm getting older. I would always wanted to play Ophelia, but I'm too old to play Ophelia now. So that's gone, unless they cast a very old Hamlet. So probably Gertrude. Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many great ones. I even Kate from Taming of the Shrew, like for non-Shakespeare, like man, Maggie obviously from Cat on Hot Tin Roof. Also, oh my gosh, what is her name from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Why am I not remembering her name?
Virginia.
Oh, but the Martha, is that Martha? I can't remember, but anyways, she just, I mean, I love kind of crazy women roles that are like super powerful. And but then it's, I mean, that's to me, like I guess I don't have a lot of bucket list roles. I'll take what I get, and then my job is to really create an engaging character from that, and you know, that has an energy on stage that draws people to that. So that's hard. I don't know.
Well,
So for Shakespeare, Lady Macbeth or Gertrude, both of those are kind of like, I don't have a whole lot of bucket rolls for Shakespeare, but those two. But I'd also like to one day tackle Hamlet personally, because I can put on some cray. I'm just saying. For a non-Shakespeare, I'd love to play Blanche Dubois.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Blanche from Streetcar.
So
Whew, she's kind of like my jam. So before we close out, is there anything else that you guys would like to share about your show, or just whatever you're thinking?
I just want to say thank you to Leigh and Jackie for having us be a part of this first ever TBM podcast, and for having the idea. You know, we may be seen as the stodgy old historians in the Austin theater scene, but we're capable of technology. We've done 2 really successful online readings this season so far. And so I just want to, you know, make our audiences aware, or our current audiences know this, but our potential audience members aware that we can do anything. So come out and be surprised and be delighted. And, you know, when we're through the pandemic and we're able to get back on stage, hopefully next spring, everyone wear your masks and wash your hands and don't do stupid things, so that we can direct our show. Then, you know, come join us and love and find something about what we do that you can love as much as we do.
Jared?
I really couldn't say it better than that. I'm just anxious for this all to be over with so we can get back to doing what we love doing. So, as Lindsay said, wear the mask, wash your hands. Let's have fun again, please.
Okay. All right. Well, that would be the end of this episode. We'd like to thank you guys for coming by and chatting with us about the Tempest and some of your thoughts about the Baronsmen in general. And for the audience, we hope that you come back and that you enjoyed what we did here, and you'll see us in our next episode. Until next time, bye.
Bye.